is now. Maybe you need to have some information as to the destination and why Malta as a destination to learn English. Because a lot of people don't possibly consider Malta as a destination to actually come to learn English. Obviously people would say if I want to learn English, I'll go to the UK, for instance. It's a very common comment we get. But Malta has had a very close relationship with the British for about 180 years, and the British left a lot of their culture here, architecture, and especially their language. Malta has two official languages. We speak Maltese and we speak English. Okay, so most people here will speak both languages. Everybody speaks both languages. You will also find that they have a knowledge of Italian and also French. Okay, but people will speak Maltese and English as both their languages. So it's a bit like Switzerland, where people will speak French, Italian, and German. Okay, you will get people normally who have English as their first language and Maltese as their second, or vice versa. People have Maltese as their first language and English as their second. That, although Malta is very small, as you probably realized when you came in on the plane, first you see nothing, then you see Malta, then you see nothing again. It's still a country which has a north, a south, an east, a west, and depending on where you come from, very often you will have English as your first language or Maltese as your first language. Okay. In this part of the island, which is the Sliema St. Julian's area, so that means we're on the west coast, centre-west coast of the island, centre-east coast of the island, you've got the predominance of English. So you have the commercial centres, you've got all the hotels, you've got all the language schools in Malta, of which there are about 46 different language school operations. I'm sure some of you have done a lot of research, have done your homework, or you possibly work with other language schools too already. So there's a large variety, okay, of them here, but they're all based, which is teaching English as a foreign language process. So we focus on the four areas: listening, reading, speaking, and writing. The idea is to give the student the maximum exposure and use of the language. It's not just grammar in class as you would have in secondary school whenever you're learning English as a language. The whole idea is to get them to have confidence in the language and to use the language as much as possible. Okay? All the teachers in Malta, and obviously at the Language Studio too, have to be qualified. In Malta there's a regulation. Just because you speak the language, it doesn't mean you can be a teacher of the language. So as a minimum requirement in Malta, all teachers have to have an A-level pass grade in English language, and also have to have a qualification after they have sat for a TEFL induction course, which is, I believe, a 6 to 8 week course, whereby, like that, a person has the minimum requirement to actually be able to form part of the staff on in a language school and teach English. Okay, other teachers go on to higher grades like CELTA, but majority of our teachers are all in that bracket, you know, TEFL qualified, some at CELTA level, some below. The teacher complement is made up of native speakers. I mean, we consider Maltese people who are English speaking obviously to be native speakers. They speak English like I do. Obviously there's always the accent element, as you will find anywhere. If you go to Ireland, Scotland, anywhere in the UK, South Africa today as well, teaching English, and obviously also Malta. And we do have a complement a number of expats. So either English people or Irish people, or I think we even have one American person on our staff who actually have settled in Malta and choose to form part of this industry because it gives them something to do once they are here as well. So we have sometimes national diversity. Sometimes we get people specifically asking, I would like to have that teacher for that reason or something or other. Very often people focus on this native speaker element, especially agents want to know obviously what type of teachers we have, and also that we have a wide variety of teachers on our staff. Okay? The idea here in class is to give them a relaxed environment whereby they have the mix, the nationality mix in class. Most of our classes, you will see them upstairs when we go around the school, are made up of people from Northern European countries, and also we get some people coming from Asia, as far away as Japan sometimes, and also from the Russian Federation. That's the nationality mix we tend to have over here. The majority, the main markets we have at the moment are obviously Italy, France, Germany and Spain, Those are our traditional, forming markets. But then we have some former Eastern Bloc countries now beginning to travel to Malta. The awareness is there, coming down to improve their English. And also we get quite a few people, as I mentioned, from Asia. Those do English course. Courses here are run for 3 hours a day, technically. The average student will take a 20-session course, a session being of 45 minutes, which gives them a total of about 15 hours a week. Those 15 hours are split up over 5 days, Monday to Friday, and obviously normally it's 3 hours in the morning, 9 o'clock to 12:30 with a half-hour break in between. That's the norm. However, we do have students who obviously partake in intensive course, which means they spend more hours, okay, in the day, Sunday. We also have combination courses then running around that, which are also quite popular. If we just focus on the general English course, the students will normally be in a class of a maximum of 12 students in a class, okay? I'm talking about adults here, okay? Adult people coming down, and we consider adults to be anybody over the age of 18, all right? There will be in a multinational course. Obviously, sometimes in the year we have more Germans or we have more French because of the time in their calendar where they would choose to operate. For instance, in August, if you had to come down here, you would think Malta has been invaded by Italian people, for instance, okay? In July, we tend to have a lot of Spanish people coming down, and also spilling into August. So you get different times in the year where you get, certain nationalities coming down en masse. But normally in the classes we will have students of a varied nationality, which means that the students get a lot of benefit in the classroom, not just from the teacher, but also from the students themselves. All students will sit for a test before they arrive. This is one of the unique things that we do. Most language schools will make students sit for a test on the first morning, which means that the student effectively loses the first day of tuition. So if you're coming down for a week, which is only 5 days, that would be normally the shortest stay, you technically lose 20% of the course. So what we do is we send the student the test at enrollment stage, via our website, via email, via fax, whatever. We ask the student to fill in this test so that we get an idea of what their level is, if it's pre-intermediate, intermediate, advanced, so we can class them before. Obviously, if a student comes down and suddenly finds the course is too difficult or too easy, there's the flexibility then to adjust the course. But that way, at least, the student starts lessons from the first hour on the Monday straight away. Okay? The different courses, we get a lot of people coming down, as I said, for normal courses, the ones that we put down under adult, general, intensive, mini-group combination. We do have people coming down for specific purposes. We get a lot of adult people coming down for medical English, business English, and even legal English. Okay? One of the accreditations that we have is actually TOLS, which is an accreditation specifically for people in the legal field. It doesn't mean they have to be lawyers, but they could be legal secretaries, secretaries working in a legal office, people who need a legal background. That improves their English specifically for that scope. Okay? We have examination courses, as I mentioned, IELTS, TOEFL, TOLS, and WEFT being the main ones that we offer. And we also have courses for people over the age of 50. We have found that there's a new demand for people wanting to come down at a later stage of their life, and we find that very often they don't like to be mixed in classes with younger people for different reasons. Some people feel a bit awkward because they think, I'm with young people, I don't feel comfortable. Sometimes they have had less exposure to English. Nowadays, younger people have English in their curriculum from a young age. Older people might not have had that advantage in certain countries, so they're starting at a late stage and they relatively need more patience, more time, more energy. We tend to put them in classes specifically for them. We've also had some people organizing groups of people over 50. Very often they come down to Malta to have a cultural stay with English as well. Very often they're very interested in history and cultural parts of Malta, and we combine them as specific special interest groups. Okay? We also have sports courses. We get a lot of students coming down to Malta wanting to study English in the morning and then do something specific in the afternoon. And Malta has a lot to offer when it comes to water-based activities, obviously being so close, well, in the sea, literally. We have diving, which is scuba diving, which is something very popular here, and also sailing. So you can get students coming down and having an English course in the morning, and then going off to do a diving course in the afternoon, and basically at the end of their stay coming away with 2 qualifications, a diving qualification which they can use on the next holiday to Australia or to the Red Sea or wherever, you know what I mean. We also have teenage courses for anybody who's interested in young people. These are normally courses run in the summer period, bless you. We also have some teenage courses organized over the Easter break, very often. What happens in this case, agents will organize their own groups, very often. These teenagers will come down on a fixed program, an intensive program, obviously supervised from the first minute to the last minute of the day, and together having English lessons in multinational environment, and then having cultural and sports activities depending on the afternoon in the week, and normally on a 2-week or 3-week program. I mean, we can go into detail later on in these things. I'm just trying to give you an idea because I know all of you have different reasons to know what we offer. They are comfortable and happy where they are staying, because if they are not happy where they are staying, everything else is a complete disaster. So, we have 3 areas. We split our accommodation into 3 areas, okay? We have, the easiest to understand is hotels, obviously hotels with different levels of grading, host families and shared apartments. I'll start off with the hotels because it's the easiest, like I said. Hotels are hotels, I don't need to explain. You are staying in what is typically a 5-star hotel in Malta, but a business 5-star hotel, not a resort 5-star hotel. So you don't have a beach, you don't have lots of leisure facilities, but the hotel is in the center of Sliema, so it's easily accessible, and you have the commodities that you would find in any other of the 5-star hotels. Obviously, not all students have the budget or the wish to stay in a 5-star hotel, but we find that a lot of our, let's say, executive customer clients, people maybe doing business English or advanced level, people of a certain, I don't know, spend, people who are being sent down by their companies as opposed to on their own personal budget, sometimes will opt for 5-star and 4-star hotels. We do offer a range of 3-star hotels as well, so technically anybody can choose where they want to stay. One word of advice, however, if you are ever recommending clients to stay in a hotel, is that the level of 3-star and 4-star hotels in Malta is different to what you would find on the continent. So, if you are in Italy, Germany, France, a 3-star hotel is normally a cost-effective hotel, very clean with certain services. Sometimes a 3-star hotel in Malta will be below that standard, okay? Just to be clear. Doesn't mean that they'll be bad, but if somebody is coming with a certain impression, they might be disappointed if they're staying in a 3-star hotel. So it's always better to recommend somebody who wants to stay in a hotel and who is comfortable and